Today,
Oops, sorry. Shutting it off, it didn't go off.
today is April 2nd, 2026. The time is 6 p.m. and this is the Acushnet Planning Board. This meeting is being recorded for future viewing on the town's YouTube page, on the local cable channel, and we are live via Teams tonight. Can I get a motion to open the planning board meeting?
Motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we all introduce ourselves?
Victoria Albaro, Town Planner.
Peter Guyappa, member. Steve Boucher, member.
Mark Francois, Chairman.
Brian Deschamps, member.
Rick Ellis, Vice Chairman.
If we could all please mute our phones. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Starting with discussions. This is a request for a partial lot release. Deep Brook Estates on Park Drive. Applicant and owner is Joe Costello from Deep Brook Estates LLC. The scope of the work is requesting the release of lots 13, 14, and 15. Mr. Costello, if you could introduce yourself to the people out in...
Good evening, my name is Joe Costello, and I'm here in front of you to request a partial release of lots 13, 14, and 15. We have done some work since the last time we were here, and this shows the highlight shows the road that's been paved, the base. And there's also on the second page that shows the work that needs to be completed on Deep Brook Drive. We since have installed street lights on Park Drive, which is there's no streets in the neighborhood there, but we installed at our cost. I think it would be nice for the security and so forth.
Could you just elevate your voice a little bit? I have a pen.
Yes, we have installed also street lights on Park Drive. And we'll do the same on Deep Brook Drive as soon as we get the pavement down. We got two houses going up. The first house is almost completed on lot 11. Lot 12, it's being completed as we speak. Probably another 6 weeks or so will be completed as well. So things are moving along there after 4 years of struggling. We are making some headway, so I like to ask this board to release those three lots, 13, 14, and 15, so we can apply for permits and keep moving with construction.
Okay, just so we're clear, everything you see in yellow, the road has already got pavement on. Lots 11 and 12 have been released and almost done construction. The three lots on the side here are what you want to release. The purple off to the left here has not been, no...
That's correct. The base has been done, the grade is not quite finished yet.
Yep.
We're in the process of doing some of the permits. We're gonna start grading the road and finish the water line, and the drainage is all in already. We just need to install the water line. And
So we have-
finish the grade for pavement.
We have 10 house lots still under covenant. On page 3, you'll see there's approximately $287,000 worth of work still to do. I think 10 lots, holding 10 lots is enough to cover that.
So is this work that to be completed is what, this next section that's in purple?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct, sir.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Just, is Mr. Menard been by to, just to verify the base that's down over there?
Good question. Has the DPW, Mr. Dan Menard, been out to your site at all?
The engineer, the town engineer was on site while the pavement was done. He was there all day observing, and then Menard has been there also.
Okay.
So I'm sure he's been there several times. We got one water connection already,
Okay.
one water service already connected. And so I have to say that he's been there probably more than once, but you're welcome to check with him if you like.
Yeah,
He's been there. He's been there, and then we also, like Mr. Costello mentioned, we had compaction testing done and some other
Yes.
roadway testing done as well through our third-party reviewer, which was SW Cole.
I also like to, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add on also, I provided to the town this morning a revision of the homeowners trust.
that's next. We'll get to that next.
That's been also submitted with the
Yep.
revisions this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to see it or not.
Yeah, no, I spoke to Victoria about that. We'll hop into the trust in a second. Any questions on releasing lots 13, 14, and 15? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we release lots 13, 14, and 15 on Park Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All set with that, Mr. Costello, so let's move on. Mr. Costello, stay right there, you're up next. So, a request for a declaration of trust approval, Deep Brook Estates, Park Drive, applicant owner Joe Costello, Deep Brook Estates. So, basically, the town does not take over stormwater anymore. The town is not responsible for maintenance of any new stormwaters that are presented, stormwater basins, stormwater facilities of the entire thing. So basically from here on forward, the developer or the development is required to create a trust, homeowners association, so to speak, to where they are responsible for maintenance of the stormwater. Mr. Costello will be petitioning the town in the future to make this a public road, but until that has been approved as a public road, the homeowners association and the trust is responsible for maintenance of the road until the road has been taken over by the town. I have read over it, Victoria has read over it. Most of this is to do with conservation, because conservation is in charge of stormwater. It's been through town council's read through it and given the green light on this. Any questions? All we gotta do is take a vote to accept the trust as written.
Motion to accept the trust as written.
I have a mo-
Well, let's see, we contingent upon Conservation Commission approval.
I have a motion.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Costello.
Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Public hearing portion. I'd like to call this public hearing back to order. It's a continued site plan review, Zero Middle Road, map 23, lot 1B. Applicant owner is Chris Ciano. Meet in the Middle LLC. Representative is Chris Vandenberg of Site Tech Engineering and Consulting, Inc. Scope of the work is proposed construction of a single-story commercial storage building with office space and a contractor's yard for material and storage and supply storage. If you could just introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, for the record, Steve Giosa with SciTech, representing the applicant this evening, and with me tonight is Chris and Janelle Ciano, the owners and the petitioners, the applicants for this project. And as was read into the record, we appeared before you a month or so ago, did the initial presentation. At that time, the board was waiting for the peer review consultant, who is also representing the Conservation Commission, to complete their review. Merrill Associates did complete their review. We made a number of additional minor edits and changes to the plan, some additional data. regarding mostly drainage-related items, but we did make some changes to the design that address the comments raised by Merrill, and those changes are reflected in the plan before you. The basic concept stayed the same. Building stayed in the same location. The bin storage area in the front stayed the same. The back area we trimmed down a little bit, and that was more of a result of our initial discussion with conservation. And so we shaved off a little bit of the back storage area. And we know that Merrill has pointed out that that back storage area, which on the plan before you is this area here. And what we did is we kind of shaved this edge at the bottom section here. And they suggested that we maybe create some delineation to that area to avoid any future expansion. There's a stone wall on this side, so there's good demarcation on this edge, which would be the eastern edge of the storage area. And on the western and a portion of the southern edge, we've got actually a drop off about 3 or 4 feet, so there's a good demarcation there. And we have the limit of work established for the no-touch zone from the adjacent wetlands. So it leaves kind of this area right at the edge here to keep that from expanding. What we suggest the board may consider is we just stack some larger boulders there. It keeps it from having any equipment movement beyond that point. We go with 1 to 2 cubic yard stones, stack them about 4 or 5 feet apart, and that prevents vehicles from going through, and we think that that would be kind of a low intensity barrier at that location. We put up a fence, someone's bound to hit the fence, and then we're constantly dealing with that. A 2 cubic yard rock, they're going to damage the vehicle and not displace the rock or eliminate that barrier. So we think that that would be an appropriate way of addressing that particular remaining comment that Merrill had. They have, as recently as I think today, issued a memo saying that from one of the concerns that came up both through conservation and Merrill were spill containment both in the building and in the storage areas long term, where we may have equipment with diesel fuel and hydraulic fluids. So we put together a more detailed long-term spill management plan that has been reviewed by Merrill, and they did provide an email sign-off on that today. And that would consist of, we have, for the building itself, we have floor drains going into a sealed tank system, so that any spill within the garage space, if they're doing some minor maintenance on the vehicles in the garage, and there happens to be a spill, and it does manage to flow into the drain, it's into a contained structure that has an alarm system and would be cleaned out and avoided discharge to the environment. There'll also be, for the exterior areas, no exterior maintenance, obviously, but in the event of a minor spill, hydraulic hose lets go, they will have spill kits on site, absorbent bags and booms available. And then there's a certain protocol that has now been outlined for long-term spill containment and management on the site. So again, I think we've got a good plan in place that would, and it also identifies at what level do different officials get notified, whether it be the fire department or DEP in the event of a significant spill, just like you would have at any other property in the community. So we think we have a good protocol in place. Any of the paved surfaces drain to oil water separators and then into the detention basins. So again, we have a multiple layer control system for stormwater management. They did sign off on the drainage mitigation, so we do meet that particular criteria both for conservation and the stormwater regulations here in town. And I think those were the big items that they had. There was a question about sightlines on Middle Road and the design speed and maybe the need for, I don't think they raised a significant concern regarding sightlines, but suggested the board might consider placement, the applicant placing, truck entrance, approaching, so people would know that maybe slower moving vehicles may be entering or exiting the site. So we obviously would defer to the board on that and would not have any objections to following the procedures. I would have to think that signage like that would probably require Board of Selectmen approval, but we would check with the permitting process here in town, and if we need be, we'll go through that at your direction. So with that, we hope we're at a point where the board is reasonably comfortable or comfortable with the plan, and we could maybe move to a permit stage with you.
Thank you. I have a few notes here that the peer review has been completed, but there are a few items for consideration by the peer review. You've already mentioned a few of them, but I'm gonna go over these one by one. Let me know if anybody on the board has any questions, comments, concerns. And one of them is, does there need to be lighting around the storage bin area? The peer review thinks that it might be something that we might be concerned about. Does anybody think that they should be required to have lighting around the storage bin area?
My comment on that would be, I think that's up to the applicant. However, the only thing I would look at is the type of lighting so that we're not basically that
Shining on
the
somebody else.
neighbors. Yeah, there should be a limit.
Yeah, and that was our concern.
That would be the limit to that.
Yeah, the operation is not going to occur during the evening hours regardless, and the area in question is this bin area in the front. The only lighting we're proposing is actually wall pack lighting on the building itself, so we wanted to keep it low-key from an aesthetic standpoint and a light pollution standpoint, so that's why we're not looking to have any lighting unless directed by the board.
Other than it being, I would think it's a safety thing during winter hours. That's would be on that. But other than, like you said, light pollution would be concern.
This is
My concern. Anyway.
Yeah, this isn't a public facility, so it's a private facility. So
Yeah.
basically up to the applicant.
Yeah, and it's a facility we're not having customers are not coming to this facility, so it's really the operator and his staff who would be on site during dark hours, returning from a job site.
If you could give the board a quick overview of any type of screening. Again, another part of peer review was the question, is the screening adequate? So if you could just kind of go over that again real quick to refresh the boards on whatever screening you might have for the front of the road, neighbors, or anything of the such.
Sure, so what we did in the front of the site with the bin storage area, as we were just talking about, we did set that back off the road. This plan is 1 inch equals 30 feet, so we're about 60 feet back with the leading edge of the storage area. And we did that so we can maintain this as natural as possible, and it does drop off a little bit off Middle Road into the site. But what we proposed to do, and we worked this out with the zoning board when we went through the special permit process with zoning, is we're creating a raised berm here. So we have a 4-foot high earthen berm that is very stable. We have 3-to-1 slopes on either side. And at the top of that berm, we're going to plant Leyland cypress trees. They grow very quick. They'll be set 10 feet on center. And they fill in really aggressively. So we'll have a vegetated evergreen buffer here along the frontage of the site, blocking any visibility to this storage area. And then there's an existing house here. This individual sold the property to my client, and this was subdivided out through a Form A process about a year ago. We've provided adjacent to the house, again, the Leyland cypress plantings here, here, and here. So we think we get a nice screening on that side. And then we've got a little bit of screening here in the back. So again, this is just the parking area for employee vehicles and obviously the garage and building area. So we think everything we've tried to keep back on the site. The rear storage area is not going to be visible from any abutting properties. This drops off on the east side into a wetland area, and the applicant controls the land heading in a westerly direction, probably about 700 feet. So you've got, and a lot of this area down in here is a wooded wetland area, then we hit the power lines. So you've got good buffering on both sides of the site with what we're proposing.
Gentlemen, any questions on screening?
I just the type of screening, the Leyland cypress, and actually very aggressive growing. I'm assuming it's also kind of, I will say, deer resistant.
Yes, I worked with a town planner in Dartmouth for years, and people used to do juniper trees, and the deer love the juniper trees, but the Leyland cypress seems to be one that they stay away from a bit. So we have, historically, when we know we want to get a more permanent evergreen buffer, we've gone with the Leyland cypress, and they seem to be pretty effective. And they'll grow pretty high too, so we'll get a good buffering there.
Okay, thank you.
Next, it was recommended that the applicant provide advanced, you already gone over this, advanced trucking entrance signage along Middle Road. I kind of do like that idea. If you could look into it, I'm not sure what the permitting process is, but a small sign, on either side, trucks entering and, exiting, I think is a good idea.
I agree.
Especially because it's a straightaway there, it's pretty wide, people get going pretty aggressive right there, so
Right.
it would be a good idea.
Yeah, we could probably kind of good place for those new signs that kind of solar powered.
Oh, there you go.
Light up.
Flash up and
Yeah, especially when, like you said, you get that, you're flying down there, nobody's, especially the people that are not used to it being there.
Right.
It's kind of a eye catcher, if you would.
Yeah.
A couple more suggested special conditions of approval. Limit of work be staked out and conformed prior to any tree removal. Do we feel that they need to stake out the work before any trees get removed?
What's the size of the trees?
And again, I think that's gonna happen regardless, because we're gonna have to, for conservation purposes, identify the lower limits of all the construction activity. So we will automatically, because just about all of this edge is in the 100-foot buffer zone, we're gonna have to mark that out regardless. And then on this side, we're gonna mark the property line, which will be the limit of work on this side. So yeah, that's automatically gonna have to be done.
Has any work started, any clearing started on the site?
No.
Restrict all hydraulic equipment storage to the first 50 feet or front portion of the storage area. Conditions to run with the property in perpetuity.
Yes, so that's referring to, we had this discussion also with conservation, is you'll see on the storage area, we've actually divided it into two sections. Any vehicle would be parked here. This back section, which is closer to the wetlands, would be limited to like trailers, those types of equipment where, anything with a fuel source or hydraulic hoses would be up in this area, and then that would just be for trailers. But that's why we marked the two separate areas on the plan, and we're agreeable with that restriction on the property.
And then provide an updated operation and maintenance plan, including all manufacturer's maintenance guides, spill containment. You've already gone over all of that.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, as far as zoning and the planning board is concerned, you meet all criteria for setbacks and zoning restrictions. Does anybody have any comments, concerns before I go out to the public for comments or questions?
The only comment I've got is, the containment aspect of the garage, that's building code, that belongs up the hill anyway, so when you got a garage of any kind of size and you gotta put drainage inside there, you got guidelines and rules to follow by the state, so.
No? If the board doesn't have any issues, I recommend a motion. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I gotta go out to the public. Sorry about that. Is there anybody out in Team Zoom land or here in the audience that would like to get up and have any comments, concerns? No? Oh, and
There's
TV
nobody
work?
on Teams.
Nobody on Teams? Well, I've gone through that portion. All right, before we go make any kind of, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain. I didn't make the first meeting.
Thank you very much. I was gonna ask you that, but thank you very much. So we've closed the hearing. Again, any comments, concerns regarding passing this? I think, I'm not 100% sure. I know that the building department might have had issues regarding the original approval of zoning. I know that it was going back and forth with town council. We haven't gotten any kind of clear answer to that yet. As far as I'm concerned, I think as far as this board's concerned, you've met all our criteria. Now, and I think you're pretty much done with conservation, now I think it falls into the building department's realm and let them finish off
Sure.
that situation.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I think we followed all the steps and closed all the meetings. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the site plan dated March 16th, 2026 with the aforementioned conditions.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank
Very
you very
good.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think. All right, next, can I get a we got another special permit, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And reading the public, all right. Let me read this public notice that was put out. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, you are hereby notified of a public hearing. The Acushnet Planning Board would hold a hearing on Thursday, April 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. to review a special permit as follows. Submitted by ND South Coast Properties LLC, property owner ND South Coast Properties LLC, represented by David DeVignan of Schneider DeVignan and Leone Inc. Scope of the work is proposed construction of a 12 dwelling unit, 6 duplexes, over 55 complex. The location is on 72 Middle Road, Acushnet, Mass, map 24, lot 35. This meeting will be held in the Board of Selectmen Meeting Room, 122 Main Street, Acushnet, Mass, 02743, and over Teams. Please see virtual meeting information on the agenda to be posted at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. All persons, parties, or are interested therein may appear or be heard in relation thereto. All right, after that being read, Mr. DeVignan, can you please introduce yourself for everybody out there?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Dave DeVignan. I'm from Schneider DeVignan Leone. I'm here representing the property owners and developers who are one and the same. I have the green cards. So we are here before the planning board this evening for a special permit application for a special residential development, which is for an over 55 dwelling unit project. In your packets that I submitted to the board, there is a narrative that goes through all of the criteria required for us to meet in order to be eligible for this project. First off, the size of the property is 5.66 acres. The minimum of the bylaw is a 3-acre minimum. We have 4.33 acres of upland. I'm not going to go through the criteria unless you really want me to of each item. There's only one item that I'll talk about later, but I'd like to just go through the plan set one by one. So the cover sheet depicts the location of the 5.66 acre site, which borders Middle Road along its western side, Middle Road being a public way. It borders a private way to the north side, and the Acushnet River along the easterly side, and a residential property with a duplex to the southwest. And along most of its southerly boundary is the Acushnet Police Department property. So sheet 2 depicts the existing conditions of the site, which contains a dwelling, house number 72, which is squished into the northwest quadrant of the property right near Middle Road and the existing right-of-way. There are a couple of greenhouses on the property in very, very poor shape. There are a couple of barns, a shed, and the remnants of an old foundation. I highlighted those on this plan all in yellow. It also depicts an existing gravel road within that right-of-way, which serves as access for 2 houses, number 76 and 76R, north of our site. Topography is shown, which depicts contours running from a westerly to an easterly consistent direction. Up by Middle Road, the contour elevation is about 29, and it drops off to about 13 as you get all the way down to the wetlands. So the contours work really nicely for this type of development. Everything falls down and away from us, which makes for a good design as far as having not to bring in tons and tons of fill. Wetlands are shown. The easterly side of the site borders the river. There are wetlands along that side, the back part of the property. There's a small piece of wetland that comes into the south part of the property. Essentially, there's a large wetland system to the south of the property behind the police station. It's all undevelopable land. This is a piece of the wetland system that goes back into the property and then comes all the way back here. It actually connects to everything along the easterly boundary. The police department building, you can see over there in that far portion of the plan, and you can see that there's only one dwelling between the police department and our site, and that dwelling is actually a duplex.
That building has frontage on Middle Road, right?
That's correct. Also on this plan are the test pits. We did 6 test pits on the site, 3 of which in this location where the detention pond is proposed, we had excellent soils and fairly deep water tables, which is not typical of what you get here,
No.
but really good for the stormwater design. So the next sheet is sheet 3. This is really the nitty-gritty, the proposed development, which consists of the construction of 6 duplexes for a total of 12 over 55 units. They're all located on the south side of that existing right-of-way. They're all aligned from west to east. The buildings are set back 50 feet from the right-of-way and 50 feet from the abutting southerly properties. The closest building to Middle Road will be 97 feet from the sideline of the road and about 114 feet from the pavement. It'll also be set back from the existing dwellings on either side, about 20 feet behind those buildings. And the reason for that is when you offset 50 feet from the right-of-way, 50 feet from the south boundary, the lot funnels down and gets narrower as you get in that direction, so it forces us further back off of Middle Road. The buildings, as I said, will be 40 feet apart. That's per the bylaw. They'll each have their own, each unit will have a driveway with at least 2 parking spaces. They're proposed to be paved. The development will be serviced by changing over the existing gravel road, which is shown on that existing conditions plan, to a 20-foot wide paved roadway, which will have 12-inch Cape Cod berms on both sides for a total pavement width of 22 feet. We have a paved cul-de-sac at the very end of that roadway proposed. Stormwater will be directed into 3 sets of deep sump catch basins and a drainage manhole system that will be all collected from the west towards the east and then discharged into a 4-bay and a large detention pond in the southeast corner of the property. Sheet 4 is, gets more into the nitty-gritty, we calling that the utility plan. It has more information than the last sheet I just showed you. It will show that we're proposing for water to the property. We're going to bring in a 6-inch ductile iron water main from Middle Road, to be tapped into the main, run down the north side of the road. We're ending it at the cul-de-sac. We have a hydrant proposed just before the cul-de-sac. That will now be changed. The fire chief has asked that I move that to in front of the third unit, so I think we're proposing it here. It'll be located over here under a plan change when we get to that. Sewer will be provided to the site. It's a must under your bylaw. Sewer currently exists in front of the EMS building. So this is a match line right here that matches up with this line. So if you took this piece of the plan and put it here, we have the existing dwelling number 66, we have the police station and then the EMS building. Sewer is actually located in front of the EMS building. Both the EMS and the police station are connected into a manhole on the opposite side of the street. As part of the project, we are required by the Board of Selectmen, who are the sewer commissioners, to bring in extend this 12-inch main. We have to zigzag a little bit, come across the road, and then run it up. And we're ending it at our property boundary, or just past that, with a gravity line, and then that will be deep enough for the town to continue that main in the future up Middle Road for future development. We brought it just past that lot line because we're proposing to go cross-country, I'll call it, behind the buildings instead of bringing it all the way up to here and then running it down the roadway. What we're proposing is, currently, we have 12 units. We have shown 12 E1 grinder pumps. They all pump into a common force main that discharges into that manhole. So currently, that's the plan. Dan Manon told me after reviewing the plans that he had no issues if we wanted to have a gravity sewer line connection, which would pick up the westerlymost building and then run it down the hill and have a sewer, one pumping station with dual pumps here, and then bring the force main back up as an option. We went with singular units because initially the talk with my clients was these would be sellable. Each unit would be owned by a different owner. In the end, there'd be an association for the property. I've been most recently told they're inclined now, I have to verify this, but I'm free to say it, to build out the project and keep it as a community that they own and they rent. And if that's the case, we're probably going to add a second alternative design for the sewer. If that's the case, it makes more sense to have one sewer pump station with dual pumps, and that would function for the whole property. And again, Dan and I said he's okay with that either way. Now, regardless of whether they are sold individually or kept as a single entity for rentals, your bylaw allows both. I know that there was a comment from the town assessor. We are opposed to putting any restriction that it remain as such if they decide to keep and rent them. At any given time, that could change. Life changes. Electric, as far as electric goes, there are existing utilities. There are existing utility poles that run down this right of way, and they service these two houses. There's a pole here and a pole here. And where the poles are located, we don't have to touch them. So we're proposing to just continue that line to the cul-de-sac and then down with the addition of 2 more poles. So the electric is proposed to continue to be overhead. So we have a pole here, a pole here. We're proposing one at the angle point and then one at the end. From there, everything will be underground from the poles to the dwelling units themselves. Gas is available, natural gas. It's in Middle Road. We are proposing, this is all subject to the utility company agreeing with us, but we're proposing to run it cross-country behind the buildings to service all of them, should they decide to go with natural gas. Sheet 5 is the road profile and layout design. It also depicts what I've been provided with as a, what the units would look like. Floor plans as well as what the front would look like. They haven't engaged an architect yet, so this isn't final. So sheet 6, essentially it's just the construction details. The next sheet is, this is a schematic that I blew up when I printed it out on a large scale, but I'll submit it to the record, a couple of copies. This was produced by a traffic engineer. The fire chief asked that we analyze the ability of his largest apparatus going around the cul-de-sac, and our team has a traffic engineer that did so, and this is a plan that he prepared. I'm submitting that this evening.
So basically saying that the cul-de-sac's big enough
For him to
handle
turn
anything
around,
that he's
right,
got.
and not have to leave the pavement. And I did, I copied Victoria today, I sent it to the chief, and I actually got a reply before I left the office, and said, thanks Dave, this looks like it'll work, with an exclamation point. And that's the biggest truck we have, so if that's capable, the rest will be all good. That being from the fire chief. I'm sure he'll follow through with something to the planning board. So the final sheet is a landscape plan which is required. This was prepared by a landscape architect. This is a pretty picture. And I guess, you know, the last thing that I'll mention, and going back to my opening statements of, you know, there were two issues with meeting the bylaw in its totality to be here in front of you. Well, actually 3. One, we needed approval from the sewer commissioners, the board of selectmen. We did go in front of them. The selectmen wanted to have it peer reviewed for the extension aspect of things. And I haven't gone back before them, but the person who spearheaded that review informed me directly that he and Deb and I are okay with the plan as presented. I'm sure if there are any comments from peer review, Merrill Associates is under reviewing the project for both planning board and conservation. We haven't heard anything back from them. We have had one public hearing with the Conservation Commission. We presented the project, and we basically continued until we're set with peer review. We will have an on-site prior to our next scheduled public hearing, which was supposed to be next Wednesday, and we continued it for 2 weeks down the road. So we won't be meeting with Conservation for another 3 weeks or so, give or take. The second issue was the lot was short meeting your criteria, where it had to have 150 feet of frontage along a public way, and we had, I think the number was 142 and change. We went to the Board of Appeals and obtained a variance for that, for us to move forward. That was critical for our project. And the last is some relief that we're requesting from the planning board. The bylaws are written in such a way, it says a 50-foot wide buffer between the SRD and public ways, and a 50-foot wide buffer between the SRD and abutting properties is required. What we have here is we have the building setback 50 feet, but as far as a vegetated buffer, we have an existing condition. This plan illustrates it really well. This green line that you see here is the existing tree line. Everything to the north of that, this was a developed field at some point, maintained as a farm, and you can look through Google Earth and aerials and you'll see that it was mowed all the way up to a point where it's over here. We don't quite have 50, we're providing 50 through most of it. But over here, we're just following the existing tree line for occupation. And then over here, we get down to, I think it's 25 because of our constraints, but this is all a wetland system. There were no butters that are impacted whatsoever. The only abutters to the property is this house, and I spoke with that abutter today, and he said he wasn't attending and he had no issues. But we are proposing green giants along here as a screening. And keep in mind that there's a rundown building right here adjacent, and the dwelling over here, this will all be green space by the time we remove everything from the site. And then these abutters, these two right here, will really have their properties really improved, because now, instead of coming down a gravel road, which they have to maintain themselves, they're gonna have access with their driveways off of this newly paved road. And I understand that this barn will probably be demolished in the future. Some of it's in rough shape. And additionally, finally, there is a lot back here that's owned by the middle property. I think under the recently issued demerger law by Massachusetts, that I think that's actually a buildable lot. We'll be providing access to that lot, whether that person decides to develop it or not. So again, I'll be happy to entertain any questions, and then I would respectfully request a continuance probably for 1 month, so that, you know, we can get the peer review back and address any concerns and questions. I'm sure there'll be some.
Gentlemen, questions, comments?
My only real concern here is that there be some document that gets registered at the Registry of Deeds that clearly lays out that all of the utilities and all of the roadway on that property is the responsibility of those owners to take care of. You know, whether it's one or whether it's a bunch of individual owners, doesn't really matter, but it certainly has to be clear to every person that makes an investment there that they're gonna have to pay a portion of the snow removal. They're gonna have to be responsible for any of the sewer disposal issues that happen on site. Like if the individual stations have problems, it's their problem, not the town's problem. That's really my only comment, that needs to be very clear, because any one of those owners, I don't want to have to see them. I don't want them to be going to the selectmen to try and get some free maintenance done.
I agree 100%.
The road's gonna stay private? The whole
The road will remain private regardless of whether they keep it as one complex or they sell the units individually. If they sell them individually, they have to create a homeowners association to maintain the road, the infrastructure, and all the utilities and the grounds. If they keep it themselves as one unit, then as one entity, then they will be providing the maintenance for those who rent. But we will, either way, we will have the proper instrument to record the registry available to the planning board by the time we come back, so that town council can review it and you're happy with it.
Anybody else?
No,
I mean,
sir.
this is,
I think it's, yeah.
I mean, site-wise and land use-wise, I
It's
mean,
perfect.
this is a good
Perfect,
fit
yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
This is what the bylaw was designed for. I think it's a really well thought out, layout to get 12 units in this, area. Yeah, I have no issues at the moment. With that being said, can I get a motion, please?
Continue the motion.
Oh, yes, thank you. Is there any, yes,
There's somebody here in the audience.
thank you, I keep forgetting.
I just,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Please, if you could just introduce yourself for the record?
yes, my name's Anita Davis, 21 Olivera Avenue, Acushnet, Mass. I used to own Summerwinds Farm, and I'm familiar with that parcel. I used to live there a long time ago, and I know how wet it is. I'm just concerned about the water. These people buy houses. We've had houses built down Main Street that was built on dumps. People didn't even know it was a town dump, and they built multi-million-dollar homes, and there were repercussions on that. Same thing on Quaker Lane. That was an old farm, right? We don't know what was dumped there, pesticides, toxins from all kinds of chemicals used on farm machinery and that nature. And there were aftermaths on that. That's on Quaker Lane. Remember the old cow farm, 44 acres, was turned into a beautiful area. And my concern is with old farms, we don't know what's under there. And, soil testing and conservation does come into play, and I get that. And I just recommend that soil be tested and water level be tested again and again, because that does go into the Sawmill area, and they developed it beautifully. We in the New Bedford area, the chemicals that were dumped unnaturally from factories, and then we had the cleanup. I just don't like to see history repeat itself. And whether you believe it or not, that is a very wet area, like I said, I lived there many, many years ago, before it was the police station. There was a house there that I lived at. And I'm just concerned about people buying property, developing property, without knowing what's really under there. Because people have children, the elderly, we don't want to consume any more toxins that we already have. And then we wonder why so many people have cancer.
No, I totally understand your concern. I think this more or less falls in the realm of conservation
Right.
regarding stormwater and the wet. We rely on engineers and specialists that go out there that flag out the wetlands. They do test pits. We rely on, none of us here are engineers, we rely on their expertise on the depth of the water table. And as you just heard Mr. Divington say, this has exceptionally low water table, which for Acushnet is very rare. So yeah, we please.
If I may expand on it, we did test pits six locations, 3 with a drainage pond. The soils are excellent where the drainage pond is going. The property will have a stormwater management system in compliance with the town's stormwater bylaw and the DEP standards. That's going to be reviewed by a third-party peer review engineer that's paid for by our client, but through the money goes to the town and they hire them, not us. And I want to point out that you have a good point. Farmland usually has shallow water table. Well, up the hill, the water tables were much more shallower. They were more like 2 feet. But what we've done is we did the test pits so that the first several homes will have full basements, but then they get scrunched down to crawl spaces.
Oh, really?
Yes, because of the water table. So there will be no wet basements or wet crawl
That's what I was
spaces.
concerned
Right.
about, because then people taking in the water in their cellars, and then it creates another problem.
Yeah.
And you don't want to create problems for people. We want to have solutions, and that was my concern.
Sure.
And it just, because it's 55 and older, our patience get, when we get older, we just like, our coping skills are not as good as we were younger. So, you know what I mean? I just like to see the town plan for the future. And I had a question about the veterans housing and stuff of that nature. And I thought this was going to be part of it, but it's not. So
No.
I was misinformed. And I just thank you for my, thank you.
And no, thank you for your concern and your question and coming to the meeting and voicing your concerns. If more people in this town would come and voice their opinions, then, they wouldn't all be squawking online. But, thank you for your time.
No, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you, David. You always do a good job.
Thank you, Anita.
Is there anybody on Teams, anybody out there? No?
No,
Okay, so nobody else left here. So we're gonna wait for peer review to come back. Dave's gonna make a couple of changes on the plans.
Can I,
And, yeah, I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to May 7th, 2026.
Motion to continue to May 7th.
I have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah, that's fine.
Were we not supposed to just,
It's
still open?
my birthday, I don't want.
Oh, is it?
I'll be spending it here.
You want it further out? We can go further out.
No, I don't want to do that to my clients. I mean, it's possible that, you know, we get.
I mean, obviously, if you're not ready at the time, just send Victoria
Correct.
an email
Correct.
and we'll push it out.
Correct.
Not a problem.
My wife will laugh at me. Very good. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, David.
All right. Where are we? That's all with public.
You know, just, is there any, I'm sorry, is there any discussion, this is just general information, I guess. Would the intention be to build them all at once, or to go in there and do them a couple at a time?
I think that.
And if you don't have the answer,
I
that's
don't
fine.
have the answer, I understand, I mean, the family of one of the partners is in the construction business, so
Mhm.
my impression is that they would just steamroll ahead with the whole thing, you know,
Mhm.
but I'm only guessing.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
Continued discussions on amending the business village district. Now, we all had copies of the town of Norton. Victoria and I have spoken about this. I think the best course of action is for Victoria to go ahead and develop a copy for us. What's the word I'm looking for?
Draft.
A draft, thank you very much. I'd like Victoria to just take a lot of this information and create a draft for Acushnet. We had also spoken that we would also incorporate all the zones that we have in Acushnet, and she would plug in all of our rules and regs and bylaws and whatnot to that. I think it's easier to have her go ahead and start that, and then we can kind of pick it apart.
I think it'll make the discussion much
Make-
easier.
Make the
Right.
discussion easier,
Right,
sure.
so instead of trying to look at what Norton did and then, and some things might pertain to us, some things don't pertain to us. So I'm just gonna have Victoria start moving forward with that. It might take a little bit of time, as you all know. Victoria is part-time, and we also have no clerk. So she will do the best she can to get this. Like I said, we were shooting for the fall meeting, but I'll make it well known that if we don't get it done in time for the fall meeting, well, then it gets pushed off to the spring meeting. We are very limited for the time that we have with the town planner, so I take her time very seriously on what she has time to do. So I just wanted to put that out there. She will start on this when she does have some time, and we will, like I said, I think once we have something in writing in our hands that pertains 100% to Acushnet, then we can go back and forth with discussions and changes.
Yeah, what'll be no, what'll be yes.
Yeah, what do we like, what we don't like, what we
Right,
want to
that's it.
add, what we want to take out.
Cross that off. do
Yeah,
this.
highlight this, highlight that, but at least 100% of that draft will pertain to Acushnet.
Yeah.
Okay?
I only have one quick comment or observation, is when I'm looking at the first section under permitted uses, if we're looking at something similar to village center core or village commercial, it specifically prohibits single-family use on the first floor. I don't know if that's something you want to do or not.
I think
No, I noticed that too, it does.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up that, you know, it's probably not something that we want to do.
I think they had a percentage for the village center core. I think it was
Well,
a certain percentage, and that it can't be towards the front of the building, because that's where they
It's
want
pretty
the
clear, in the
storefront.
Village Center Core District, no dwelling unit nor any internal space associated with the dwelling unit shall occupy any ground floor portion of a building facing
I think that's-
onto a street, public plaza.
And they've got it divided in
But-
so
Yeah, no,
many different
I'm just bringing that out as a
Yeah.
comment,
Yeah.
that's all. That maybe we don't want
Yeah,
to do
right.
that.
I
Yeah,
agree.
so,
Considering it's mostly single-family housing, you know, along that
Already.
area we're talking about rezoning anyway.
okay.
So, that's all. Just keep it in mind when you do your draft. Talk to Mark and see if that's something that you really want to go forward with.
We will look at that. Discussions on draft complete streets prioritization plan. Victoria, you want to fill me in on this one?
Let's see, summarize that 100-page plus report in
Yeah.
5 minutes or less.
Yes, they were very thorough. It was awesome. It was a very large report. So just as a reminder, we received grant funding from MassDOT to develop a complete streets prioritization plan, which in short is a town-wide planning effort to make it safer and easier to walk, bike, and drive around town. So this could be whether you're heading to school, library, parks, or just around the neighborhood. This plan keeps everyday experience in mind. So just for a little background, a complete street is essentially designing safe roads that are comfortable for all roadway users. Biking, walking, people with mobility issues, that sort of thing. So we did release a survey, and we got, I believe, under 100 responses, but it was very good feedback. And with that, and looking at crash data and other data sources from MassDOT, we developed a list of over 30 projects in Acushnet. Several of them build on some projects that are existing, such as the South Main Street tip project that we have that's in the pipeline. And then a lot of other projects are, you know, missing sidewalk connections. Where can we install ADA curb ramps? There were some intersection improvements. And we have online, the website shows you each point of where those projects are located, and you can click on it and see the details and the recommendations for each of those projects. So there is over 30, so I won't go over the whole list, but you know, feel free to take a look at either the website or the draft plan. It's very comprehensive, and if you have any questions, or if any members of the public have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So we will be doing one more. We did a public workshop in the beginning to gather feedback, as well as a survey, and then we'll be holding one more public workshop in late April to gather feedback on the list of projects. So that's yet to be scheduled, but upcoming. Thank you.
I was a little surprised, and this is a personal issue as opposed to a planning board issue. There was nothing on Lake Street at all, and which surprised me. It's narrow. You've got a lot of people that go down there to fish, you know, go down to the town landing there for recreational use. It's no longer a pleasant road to walk on with the traffic and the speed of traffic that goes on there. I know they've got it posted for 25 miles an hour. I have dodged cars going 50 miles an hour or better by eye out to my mailbox. So
Well, speed tables will take care of that. First guy that goes, watches it, ends up in the North Pond over there.
I'm just surprised there was nothing at all. I mean, I don't know what there's been for accidents at Lake Street and Middle Road. Probably not so bad at Lake Street and Main Street. But,
Yeah, it hasn't.
boy, I've personally seen some close calls at Lake Street and Middle.
We see them every day too, up at our end.
You do you?
Yeah, but as far as accidents, we've probably had 3 accidents in the last 10 years.
Yeah, okay, that's a bit
So-
bad.
And you're right near there? You're talking about the same
Yeah,
area?
he's
I'm
at,
right
he's
on the
at
corner of
one,
Lake
he's at one
Mason.
end of Lake Street, I'm on the other, so.
Okay, okay.
Yes, though, but I mean, it's far better than what it was. I mean, since they.
Yeah, now that they have all the.
The rail, they got a
Yeah.
place where people stand, it's a whole lot better than it was.
Oh, no, it's better right there, and I'm not sure that
The rest
anything
of
can
it, I
be
mean-
done. But that,
Where do you go? I mean, it's, the road was built narrow and, I mean,
Yeah, it's a
it's-
33
You got water
foot
on
layout.
one- Yeah, you got water on one side, you got residents on the other, there isn't much you can
It-
do.
it's that, on my end, it's from the lakes to Middle Road, where the speed of traffic picks up considerably.
Yeah.
And they really shouldn't be going that fast. I mean, it's,
We
I
should
do
talk-
I have to be careful at my mailbox. I mean, which is, and there's one bunch of arborvitaes that are huge on the corner that block your view to see if somebody's barreling up the road. And,
I don't know if the
I don't know
police,
this,
I don't know if the police station owns any of those, those mobile units that you can put that check speed.
You know,
I don't know if
maybe-
you have any of those or not.
yeah, I'm just bringing it up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, I haven't been wiped out yet, but it's, again, it's not comfortable walking down the road anymore, especially on that section. Once you get down to the actual lakes and they've got the curbs and the, and the sidewalk and all, that's,
But then when they get through there, they do it on my end too, they
Well-
speed up, go to the hill. I got a wall in front of my property. And people go around the corner and they drive over the wall, smash their car up all the time, and then they come knock on my door. Hey, look what you just did to my car.
I haven't had that problem.
All the time. We've had people yelling at us. They're gonna call the cops. They're gonna get, it's like, for what? I didn't do it to your car. It's funny, you'll see a Volkswagen go around it and they go over the wall. It's like, really? You can't make that corner? Yet we have the big trucks with the excavators from DW come around the corner, make it, without going over the wall. But yeah, a little tiny car, boom, 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 over the wall. But people coming and knocking on the door and saying, look what you did to my car.
That's unbelievable.
That's hilarious.
It is, and you just scratch your head looking at them like, I didn't do that.
Okay, let's move this right along. So, next is discussion and vote on reappointing Victoria Alfaro as the planning board representative for the Serpent Commission. So we have, is it you and the town administrator? I don't know if Jamie, I thought Jamie was, I don't know if he was.
It was Mark Minton before he left. He was the alternate, so I don't know if they ended up,
Appointing
appointing
another
Jamie after.
alternate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But as far as the planning board rep, it's been me. Unless there's a board member who wants to do, I'm happy to do it.
If you're willing to do it, that's
Absolutely,
fine with
Yeah.
me.
perfect.
So let's take a quick vote, a motion to reappoint Victoria Alfaro as the planning board representative on the Serpent Commission.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're the lucky winner.
Thank you.
All right, that's done. Nothing else has come before us in the last 48 hours. Our next meeting is Thursday, April 16th. Is there anything that anybody would like to bring up and discuss before we adjourn? We good?
No.
Let's entertain a motion.
Motion to close for me.
Second.
All
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, good night.